If you did history at school, they probably told you something about how the European Union had its origins in a desire to bind the countries of Europe so closely together they'd never again go to war with each other. Not so, says Mr. Trump. The EU was formed with the primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade. And in current trade negotiations, said the president on his social media this morning, it has been very difficult to deal with. Our discussions are going nowhere, he went on, and he recommended a 50% tariff on imports from the EU starting in a week's time.
It's time that we play the game the way I know how to play the game. They've taken advantage of other people representing this country, and they're not going to do that any longer.
Now, even by the standards of a Trump White House, the tariff policy schedule has been something of a roller coaster ride. First, there was a blanket tariff on all imports. Then Mr. Trump put that plan on pause, except on Chinese goods where the tariff was 145%. But then there was a deal with Beijing and even a framework accord with the UK. So there's every chance that the president's EU tariff recommendation is just a negotiating tactic.
I would hope that this would light a fire under the EU because, Bill, I've said before, EU has a collective action problem here. It's 27 countries, but they're being represented by this one group in Brussels.
Mr. Trump has profound objections to other countries and trade blocs selling much more to America than they buy from it. The EU trade surplus with the US is about 200 billion euros. He's trying to boost America's manufacturing base. He also threatened Apple today with an import tax to encourage them to make iPhones in the US rather than Asia. Among America's trading partners, bafflement at policies which will make everything more expensive for American consumers.
Sie hat unsere volle Unterstützung, indem sie
I don't think these tariffs help anyone, said Germany's foreign minister today. They will only cause economic development in both markets to suffer. America's president enjoys a negotiation, but the world economy is being shaken because the country that was the architect of a global economic system has become its saboteur. Geraint Vincent, News at 10.
And Dan joins us now from Washington. Tactics clearly at play here. Dan, has there been any response from the EU yet, and how's this gone down there?
Well, we've had a kind of an inkling of what they're thinking. The Polish Deputy Economic Minister, Poland at the moment holds the presidency of the EU, said just because we see some important statements in public doesn't mean that they translate into action. So a note of scepticism there. And the French Trade Minister also talked about de-escalation, but then being ready to respond if necessary. Look, I think there's a danger of Donald Trump being seen as the president who cried wolf when it comes to tariffs. They have yo-yoed over the past few weeks. At one point, they were at 20% for the EU. They were reduced to 10% pending this sort of ongoing negotiation, which is due to start over the coming days. If they did go back up to 50%, that would be a massive deal for both America and the EU, and would potentially spark real turmoil in the market again. But the fact that we've seen a fairly muted response over here in America anyway, I think gives you the suggestion that everyone's thinking, is this really going to happen? And if it does, how long is it going to be in place for?
OK, Dan, thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you.